Greg Cummings. I'm a U.S. Army Ranger veteran. I joined the service because I love my country. My father instilled that in me. He was one of those few soldiers that fought in 3 campaigns, World War II, the Korean War, and did 2 tours in Vietnam before he retired. Through that, it just instilled in me a patriotism to serve this great nation of ours. What you are about to witness is a plea, more accurately, a battle cry for you to reignite that flame within your soul, to reestablish that fight within you for your liberties and your freedoms. Listen to the voice of the veterans from past, present, and God willing, through you, the future. We stand here at the base of the Washington Monument wrapped in scaffolding due to structural damage. But it stands here today also as a metaphor, a type and a shadow, if you will. This particular point in time, we are seeing everything our founders created on the verge of erosion and structural damage. Our founders created our republic through the sweat, the blood, and deaths of our very first veterans, a total casualty count of around 50,000 citizens. They led the way. They established freedoms away from the tyranny of socialized dictatorships and kingdoms. In his first inaugural address, President Washington said, "The preservation of the sacred fire of liberty and the destiny of the Republican model of government are justly considered, perhaps as deeply as finally staked on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people." What President Washington was saying here, the preservation of the sacred fire of liberty, was that our nation was spawned out of the innate need of being free. There was a fire deep inside all Americans to fight, to win, for the first time, liberty. Then when he said the destiny of the Republican model of government, he wasn't talking about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, but the Republic. So it's the Republic or a democracy. What President Washington and the founders of this nation wanted us to have is a republic. A republic champions the rights of each individual citizen. What a democracy is, it champions the will of the majority. And our founding fathers did everything that they could to make sure we would never turn into a pure democracy. When President Washington said finally staked on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people, that finally meant we never had it before. The experiment is the republic, where the citizens are the authority thereof. Citizens became veterans defending the sacred documents that tell the government what it cannot do to the citizens. And now today, we have barricades surrounding our veterans' memorials. We have the government turning their backs on our veterans. They're not approving death benefits to the families coming home. They have veterans on the terrorist watch list. And these patriots have bled and died for the freedoms and liberties that we have today. What has our country come to?
I don't think it's right for shutting these down because it belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the Congress or Senate or the president.
This was funded with private funds, so I can't see why they barricade it.
We thought maybe we couldn't even get to the wall, but we did, so I don't know if we're supposed to be here or not, but we are.
The barricades around the memorials are a larger philosophical statement about fundamentally transforming our country into a new type of government, something different than our veterans have fought for.
I said that fence wouldn't stand for a hill of beans if those veterans wanted to go in over it. I said that would mean nothing to them.
If we want to go someplace as veterans, a bunch of barricades aren't going to stop us.
It was, I think, an unfortunate political decision of the Obama administration to try to deprive access to World War II veterans who are flying from all across the country to their memorial. And so I'm glad that sounder judgment has prevailed and these veterans are going to get a chance to see their memorial on their probably only trip to Washington, D.C.
This is for the people. It should never be shut down.
People behind you have died for this country and freedom. And if the veterans are quiet, this place goes to the ash heap of history. Do not let that happen. It rests on you.
We're going to take them up here, give them to the White House, and just to kind of tell them that we don't like this and we want them to stop it.
It's unjust to barricade the veterans from their memorial because it undermines and it devalues their sacrifice. This great nation is an experiment entrusted into the hands of the American people. We have abdicated our power, and now it's slipping from our hands. That's how we've got here. We have to take control of our instituted government. We need to highly resolve to ensure that their deaths are not in vain, and we need to have a new birth of freedom in our country.
When you sign up to go in the military, you sign up to give up to and including your life for the president, for your country, for your Constitution under your oath. What we've got behind us is the Vietnam Memorial, where 48,000 people of our countrymen gave their life. The people who fought the war had to come back to their countrymen spitting on them, screaming at them, talking down to them. People who were in the military defecting and going in front of grand juries and testifying that they saw atrocities. Now those citizens that were protesting are now running our country and spitting on us again. Those barricades that you see outside these memorials are just symbolic of it.
President Lincoln memorialized the care for our veterans in his second inaugural address in the last paragraph, in which he said, "Let us strive to finish the work we are in, to bind the wounds of our nation, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and his widow and his orphan." As President Lincoln was going through the struggles of the Civil War, he came to realize the sacrifice of the men who died on the various battlefields. And in establishing this Veterans Affairs, he wanted to memorialize their sacrifice by taking care of all of their needs.
I thought we were treated good after World War II. Couldn't complain. We had the GI Bill, everything, to get our homes. And now it seems they're fighting for every little thing they're getting.
The way they treat veterans now is you're just trash.
Their sacrifice will be in vain if we do not realize what their sacrifice means.
If it hadn't been for thousands and thousands of people like me and these other veterans, you wouldn't have the freedom that you got today.
I volunteered for the service because I wanted to serve my country. I did my part, not for just me, it was for my future, for my children, my grandchildren.
Our nation is at a crossroads. You can let the sacred fire of liberty burn out, or you can reignite it. It's up to you. The veterans have paid a high price. They died for you, for me, for all of our liberties. You too can be a veteran without serving in the military. Serve your country by getting engaged.
Our military, the people who stood up to give us this gift of freedom, the price is eternal vigilance. As military members, as citizens of this United States, we have to start taking it back, starting at the local level.
If you've got any inclination of trying to help this nation, if you're not involved with the VFW, the American Legion, or if you're not with the DAV or whomever, you should join because they have power behind them. So if every veteran in this nation stepped up, we could get a change.
7 years ago, our
fathers brought to this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived or so dedicated can long endure. We are met here on that great battlefield of that war. We are here to dedicate that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. The world will no longer remember what we say here, but it cannot forget what they did here. It is rather for us the living to be dedicated here to those who fought here and thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us. That from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. And that government of the people, by the people,